What's going on, everybody? What is going on? Thank you for showing up, of course, to another yet thought provoking episode of Resla, or rather, Opinionated with yours truly, Resla. For those who are coming in, thank you for actually showing up today. I am getting a couple of things together. Um, if you paid attention to the very beginning of the stream, then you would have noticed I played a very motivational kind of, you can kind of say, video that Kevin Hart was actually making when he was on Joe Rogan's podcast. And the reason why I wanted to bring it up is kind of going to the premise of this whole particular video, which is that there's never really a wrong there's never really a time where basically age is not a factor. But at the same time, there's never a time where you cannot find your success at whatever age that you're on. Typically, what we do is that we get into particular spaces or we get into particular areas of our life where we need to really start figuring out what do we want to do, or if we're still thinking that we're against the clock. And the truth of the matter is that there are so many people in this world who have managed to find success at any time. We fall into these tropes, these narratives, and even talking points that you hear, whether you're in particular spaces or whether you have it in your own head or you even hear it from other people. That if you haven't made it by a particular time in your life, then you haven't made it. And I wholeheartedly challenge that because I'm one to believe that as long as there's breath in your body, you have the time, you have the ability to change it, to change your life, to change it for the better, to change it for everything that you're trying to do. Most people who I've run across, whether they're in their 20s all the way into their close to their 60s, there are a lot of people I run across that just never figured out what exactly that they want to do. This wasn't even really going to be the original stream that I was going to do, but I felt like this one was really important because I got a message from someone I didn't expect to, and I remember having a conversation with her a while ago, and it made me want to change this particular topic up because even myself, as a person who, quite frankly, is making a change, has been making that change for a little over a year now. For not for nothing, the little over the year that you've all gotten to know me. For some of you guys, you've only got to know me for close to about a little over half a year now because you've been watching me on Opinionated. But for those who've actually seen me on camera, seen me in different spaces, then you know that you've seen me for a little over a year now because I've made so many significant changes in my own life. And if you're a younger person, because typically the changes that we tend to hear about when it comes to changing one's life over, starting all over, as we like to say, figuring it out in our later years or even the mid years, it's typically people in their 30s that I mainly have this conversation with, even with the young lady I'm having a conversation with. And I'll say young lady because she's younger than I am. But there, there is no age. There's no defined time when it's too late for you to have a comeback. We like to say, and I'll use it to this. I'll use it akin to this. We like to say, as akin to particular women. I'll say this for guys, for particular women that we run across. Right? There's a saying that it says, "She's not yours. It's just your turn." And while that's not the kind of conversation I run across, I look at it also in terms of you still being able to win the game. Quite frankly, it's not your time right now. It's not your turn right now, but it can be. It will be if you put the right amount of effort into it. Right now, it may not seem like your turn, but I don't want you to believe that your turn will never show up. It will only never show up so long as you don't put in the work. And that's what I pretty much wanted to pretty much put out for everything that's going on right now. Like I said, trying to get into a whole big thing. I had this conversation. I never thought I would even hear from this particular person, um, which was so weird when she reached out to me. I was just like, wait, who the hell is calling my line right now? Who's calling my line? And then, I'm hearing the voice. I'm like, this voice sounds familiar. Yeah, what's going on? And they're like, do you remember who I am? I'm like, yes, of of course, I remember who you are. I'm just wondering what do you need from me? And I never thought it would be a conversation of saying, I know that I haven't spoken to you in a little while, but I could just really use your advice. And I felt the way about that. I was like, someone who I haven't spoken to in at least a little over a year now can reach out to me. Just took a gamble, to be honest with you. Took the gamble in saying that I don't even know if his number still works, which my number hasn't changed in quite some time. But I don't even know if his number still works. But I'm going to reach out to see what happens because I could just use some real solid advice, and I know he's always been there for me. And to you, madam, I hope I didn't disappoint. But it made me want to really evaluate how a lot of people are still feeling and thinking that their life is over because they don't think that they made all the all the proper runs in their life to be able to make it somewhere. And I'm telling you that it's not over. So long as there's breath in your body, I just want you guys to know times are gonna be hard. It's it's the price of achievement. It's the price of making it. It's not supposed to be easy. You have to overcome adversity in order to really acknowledge, not just acknowledge, but also feel it. This may not be an episode that's for a lot of people because my original video was going to touch on a lot of stuff that was going to be very informational, but really going to touch on a lot of processes of how people think. It really was. And I just know that the type of people who I see moving around spaces are not interested in that because they're just interested in, quite frankly, being entertained. And I'm going to say this for clarity's sake. I'm not your dancing monkey. Never have been. So if this is not going to be the type of video that you need, I'll see you in the next one. That's all right. No harm, no foul. Not at all. No harm, no foul. Anyway, as always, we want to start off in the building by just recognizing some people that actually walked in for the day. And the first one I'm going to say for No Chaser, thank you for showing up. Butterfly Jones for actually popping up. Thank you very much. And Lawrence, thank you for popping into the building as well. Uh, this is going to be a little bit more of a classic for me because, quite frankly, it's kind of the road that I had to take to get here. And I don't know where this video is going to really take me, but I wanted to make sure I got it out as soon as I could as I was going through the motion. So there's a couple of videos I want to go through real quick, and I want to know basically how we're gonna rerun it through it.
People say you can't change your career at 30, that's when you're meant to be settling down. You can't change your career at 35, you should have had it figured out by then. Oh my God, you're not married at 38? What the hell are you doing with your life? Who comes up with this stuff? I have no idea. But this stuff plagues so many people that I speak to. So many people open up to me and say, Jay, I just don't know how to change. Is it even possible? But you guys are in the best place right now, where you can actually make all of those changes.
And there are so many people in the world that regard I could tell you I've spoken to so many people. It's ridiculous how they're in their 20s. I've met people who pretty much told me that they're not able to catch up, and they're in their early 20s talking about how they have already missed their opportunity. And I'm going, you're fucking 23. What are you talking about? What the fuck are you talking about? Like, cut your shit. You have plenty of time. Hey, male. But I also say this to people who are younger in the years, whether in their 30s or even in their 20s. I know someone who's exactly 30 right now. And one of the things I tell her is, I'm out here, I'm still taking risk. I'm 42, I'm still taking risk. And you are 30. The only thing that you have that's different from me is time. That's the only advantage you have from me. But you know what's the only advantage I have that's different from you? It's called time. We both benefit in the same thing. We just see it from two different playing fields. And I guess you can even look at it in terms of people who are younger who should be looking at people who are older to see the mistakes, but also taking whatever wisdom that they can to make sure that they don't fall in the same pitfalls. And then sometimes you're gonna have to be the one to go through it yourself because quite frankly, not everybody's experience is congruent. It's not the same for everyone. But the idea of thinking that because you had a couple of slips that it's over for you is absolutely false. There are so many times that I can tell you personally that I have fallen apart and been able to pick myself back up. For some of you guys who actually know a little bit about me, is that I've been through situations of being homeless. I've been poor, pretty much. That's not to say that I'm rich or even wealthy. Let's not put that out there. Um, I typically don't like to talk about finances because it's, for one, it's nobody's business, and two, everybody has their own opinion of what having money means. Because money is really all about your spending habits. I've met people who definitely don't would not classify as making a whole lot of money, but their spending habits are just phenomenal. Like they live a very minimalist life. And I've met people who make a shit ton of money, and they're literally working paycheck to paycheck because their spending habits are just obscene. It's not that I tell them what to do with their money; it's their business. But as I try to tell people that you need to really consider the things that you're doing for your life right now, not because you have to, because someone else is looking at you, but if you're saying that you would like more for yourself, because if you're comfortable where you are, do you have at it? But if you're a person who's in a state of your life where you're doing some reflection and you're telling yourself that I feel like I should be doing a little bit more, it's probably because you should be. It's probably because you know there's something else that you should be doing, or quite frankly, you know that where you are right now is not a comfortable place to be in. Either way, both things are true. You should consider doing more. If you're living your dream, which most people do not, I'll just be honest with you, most people are not living their dreams, despite what people like to say. It's the pursuit of happiness. It's not to say that everybody gets there. Yo, what's going on? Like I said, it's not that everybody gets there, but are you even making strides to try to get there? It's an important thing to really ask yourself. Now, I'm kind of winging this one because, like I said, it just kind of came up last moment, and it hit me because I haven't heard from this person for a while, but I can say just from the acts and the gratitude and how this person was, I felt a way about it. I felt like it's so weird because I haven't spent that much time on it, but I almost felt responsible for making sure that I gave them as much information as possible because I didn't really. I had to look at myself and think about where I was right now, and of course, bring even coming to the point, I had to ask myself a lot of decisions as to did I make the right choices leading me here now. Now, keep in mind, it could be so much worse, but I can honestly say that I'm doing okay. I'm doing all right, and I think about not just that, but also what are some of the things I will be doing for the future to help the message as to what I would like to be going forward. Because quite frankly, I've been trying to figure this whole thing out when it comes to content, and in a lot of ways, I've been trying things out and testing things and seeing what works and seeing what doesn't. And I have some things that I'm okay with, and some things that I'm realizing I'm not okay with because it wasn't the entire point of why I did this in the first place. I'm not here to be more of the same. You have for you guys, who, because the internet's a big place. The internet's as big as the globe itself. You guys have plenty of places to get more of the same. And part of my thing is that I dare to be different. And that was one of the words that I gave to this woman, that you need to dare to be different. Not just for what you're looking at, what you want to achieve, but also for yourself. I don't think enough of us take strides. And I've seen a lot of people who are moving through the spaces that have no nothing new under the sun. They give you the same shit everywhere, and because you think that you're seeing a different face or you're hearing a different voice, that you're getting a different message, and you're not. You're really not. And part of the thing that happens here, and I'll even say that if I never blow up, I'm fine with that. If I never even get somewhere medium, I'm fine with that. Because of the simple fact that I don't want people to believe that the only way for you to be on the internet is for you to cause trouble. The only way for you to have some notoriety is to be a person that needs to just start shit with other people. If that's what it means to you, I don't want to be anywhere near them. I'll be okay. I will be all right because I'm not about the fast growth. I'm not about starting shit with people. I'm just not. I will give my take on something, and if they don't like it, so be it. But if you think that I would bitch with them back and forth, absolutely not. I don't give a fuck if a guy turned around and made 13 videos about me. I wouldn't care. I'm not gonna bother responding. Don't ever believe that you can come in here and think that we can run on some high school antics and say somebody's always talking shit about you. I'm gonna say, okay, cool, no problem, because they're not a part of where I'm going. And too many times we get caught up in too much shit about wanting to respond or wanting to see infighting. Go find other. I'll even say it. Go find other black people who want to do that. It's not my thing. It's not my thing because I have better things to do. I would rather cut this entire shit off than to talk to people who are not worth my time. Just be honest with you. Argue with people who are not worth my time. Again, I'm here for the conversation. I'm here for understanding. And bickering back and forth with bullshit is not a form of understanding. And this was the kind of stuff that I had to let this young lady know, because I'm like, you're slipping from the path. Remember why you're there in the first place, because it's so easy for people to distract you and to get off message. And it's funny how I'm even mentioning stuff to you because it actually falls in line with the original content I was actually going to give you guys for today. I changed my whole thumbnail and everything. I only thought about doing this literally an hour before, well, 2 hours before we started the show, because my original content was not going to be about this. But I really had a great feeling that none of you guys are going to sit around and want that. Because why? It wouldn't be entertaining. It wouldn't be full of fucking videos for you guys to watch. It wouldn't be full of talking shit. And if that's what you believe the internet's about, I'm pretty sure there are other people online that you can go gravitate to right now. Because I'm not going to turn around and just try to hold your attention because you would like to dictate what my platform is going to be about. I really sit there and I think about the things that other people need. I think about why I got into this in the first place. Not for nothing. I didn't even get into this whole I didn't even get into this internet game thinking to stream. Becoming a streamer wasn't necessarily my thing. I really wanted to focus on content and put forth things that I thought that were going to be very beneficial to people who needed to hear it. Because there are people who are like me who are so confused with their life right now and trying to figure out how to start things over. I, for one, am not into just having a channel that's full of fuckery. You, like I said, you have plenty of other channels that want to do it to get into everybody's nitty gritty fucking life and everything. Or I'll watch, but I'm not gonna participate. I'll be just like you. I will watch, but I will not participate because it's not beneficial to me, and it's not beneficial to someone who can help use my message. Because then I look like a fucking hypocrite to be doing one thing and then stating another thing. This is not even going to be a long stream for me because I had to really take some time now to really start evaluating the trajectory of this channel. I really do. I need to start thinking about who are the type of people that really want to see this content. Who are the type of people that really They really just, be honest, to really rock with me. Or they're doing this hoping that one day, somehow, some way, I will win. I will end up in a verbal scuffle with somebody. If that's what you're looking for, if that's what you're hoping for the future, you're not gonna get it. I'm telling you right now, you're not gonna get it. It's one of the reasons why you don't see me bounce around a lot of people's channels that we all know that exist, because I'm just not interested in the banter that goes absolutely nowhere. I am not interested in the grift. I'm not. Yeah, and I'm sorry if I'm going to disappoint you, because yes, I do think I have a sound enough mind to be able to combat those weirdos. Yes, I called you a fucking weirdo if you happen to be watching this. And I'm just not interested. And I just already told you. So even if you wanted to turn around and make fucking 18, 25, 82 fucking videos, I'm not going to respond to you, because you're just not worth my time. I'm I'm heading in a different direction. I'm heading in the direction that I already planned from the start. And I just feel like I need to uphold that for myself. I need to focus more on scripting the kind of content that I originally was looking forward to presenting. I love having conversations with people. I don't like having arguments with people. I like having deep conversations that even are controversial. I don't like having fruitless debates. Keywords, in case you didn't hear, was fruitless. It's just not for me. It's not for me because I realize it's not why I'm here. And again, I can carry this on for 3 hours, or I can turn around and even just cut it and just, to be honest, just actually start curating content to start focusing on actual stuff that I think that will be beneficial to other people, because I think that it could be those who want to see it. It just won't be the people who normally come here because they're looking for other things. That's just the way I look at it. I'm going to play a couple more things because I think that there are plenty of people. And again, this may not be you. You may be a person who believes that you got your life together, or you're only on the internet strictly for entertainment. As I told you, I'm not a dancing monkey. I am here to provide whatever value that I can to those who are willing to hear it, for those who are willing to actually see what's going on. Because I'm not an example, but I do think I'm a case study. I may not be the person who actually be able to get over a particular threshold, but I do know there are people who will need to hear that message. If it just reaches one person and they understand that they're able to overcome some things, I think it's worth it. I really think it is. But as far as going through the paces to start getting into jousting with people who, I'll just say it, are fucking morons because they speak on moronic topics that go nowhere, I'm not your guy. Again, these whole D&B conversations and talking about things that are so antiquated, it's it's actually disheartening. And for the way how I see that they use you, because damn for sure, not only do they use you, but you're okay with being used in such a manner. Cool, you get your kicks, no problem. I just, I don't feel good when I watch their content. I actually feel worse for myself. I think it's interesting, but I don't feel good about watching it. Not one day of it have I felt good about seeing it. And I'm just gonna keep that a buck. Personally with you, I'm keeping that a buck. I'm not starting this content for a grift. Plain and simple. And if that's not something you're necessarily cool with, because quite frankly, I'm the one who has to turn on the camera and do the work anyway, then it is what it is. So let's continue with what we're doing. So here's a discussion that's happening between a young man who's trying to figure out things about himself in his own life and what exactly success is on Dr. K. If you haven't seen Dr. K, he runs a channel on Twitch and everything else, but also on YouTube. It's called Healthy Gamer.
Okay. When are you supposed to have done something with your life?
That's a good question. I guess it just depends on who you are. Like I could look at someone that's my age, like there are people in my age that have signed like their rookie contract in the NBA and they're making $6 million, $7 million a year. Whereas there are other people my age that are, not in university. They maybe dropped out of
Crazy
high
amount of money,
school.
by the way.
Maybe they're not employed or in education or anything. So it's hard to say.
Yeah, so you bring up a really good point, David, that, when are you supposed to be a Giga Chad?
I think it could happen at any point in your life, right?
Yeah. So, and then you also kind of pointed out that, like, I asked you, when are you supposed to be successful, basically? And you said that depends on who you look at. There are people I could compare myself to that are more successful than I am, and according to you, basically. And there are people I could look at who are less successful than I am. So how you're doing depends on who you compare to.
Yeah, so it's all like relative, right?
Yeah, so I wonder if there's anything else, like, whether you're successful or not, whether you're happy with where you are, how you feel about yourself, anything else that you could set that bar to, as opposed to comparing to someone really successful or comparing to someone not successful at all?
You mean in terms of like NBA and start in NBA? Yes, I do. Yeah, I don't like the starting point of it, but some people they only I agree. It's not normal, but there are so many people who aim for that for them and this is the thing about just people and their own views and when they go and stuff because I almost went into the same programs as well. Um, and I met people who come from those programs. They're totally weird people, by the way. And most of them too fucking cocky for their own good, but it's for them. It's the only world that they know because it was the only world that was told to them very early that they can start making a shit ton of money. So a lot of their values are just based on money. Yeah, I agree. Most of the people who I've met who do have an MBA are people who are heavily in finance, heavily in government, and they have been quote the top of the top or whatever school they've been at. It's very rare I run into anyone else, but like I said, a lot of them are still they're either overly cocky because they're trying to overcompensate, or or they're socially awkward. They're very good at what they do, but they can't talk to nobody because they spend so much time by themselves. Yeah, the money point is like they sacrifice all kind of other human interactions and understanding what it means to work with people for money. They'd be really weird. It's hard to find. It's very rare that I run across people who have that balance. I mean, I think everybody has something that's wrong with them, but it's very rare you run into those people and they have balance. It's the same thing like people who come out from like MIT. A lot of them could be weird as well. You know, some of them are just really good at crushing down algorithms. They don't really do much else besides that.
Maybe someone just like me, like someone that's in university.
Yeah, someone just like you. I like that idea. Who is the person who is most like you? Can we argue that the closer we get to you, the better the comparison will be?
But I guess it also depends on kind of what objective you're trying to achieve with that comparison, right?
Good. Excellent. What objective are we trying to achieve with the comparison?
It's hard to say, maybe to determine.
And I 1000% agree. You know, I want the Giga Chads. Like, we don't think Elon Musk, we don't think Zuckerberg, we don't think Bill Gates. We never thought that was Jeff Bezos. We never think that that was Steve Jobs. Like we never we Hell, Steve Wozniak is still alive. We never thought that of Steve Wozniak. Like, not for nothing, even Giga Chad, to our two people who are still making much shit money now, I don't think anyone thinks of that as Mark Cuban. Like, it's not a thing. But there are people that they have it in their mind because they watch things like uh, Gordon Gecko. They watch The Wolf of Wall Street. You know, they watch hell. You can even say the latest show, Billions. They watch. You know, They see a Bobby Axelrod, and you know, and they think that these things are the guys who are out there spending a bunch of money. They got so much charisma. They get bitches. Like they just spending money on yachts and whatever else. And it's not like that for the majority of people. You stated it yourself. It's like it's such a small 0.1 percentage of people that actually do reach that height. But the problem that we also have in the United States is this over sensationalization of you can get it too. You know, it's the whole what we do to the women. You can have it all. We don't explain it exactly how what the things that you can have and what you can have only at particular times. People tend to believe they can have everything at once. That they're going to be a billionaire and they're gonna own freaking cars, and they're gonna have mansions, and they're gonna have yachts, and they're gonna have a fly bitch, and they're gonna do it all within their 20s. Sorry, but the answer is a resounding nah, screaming nah, bullhorn nah.
Whether I'm successful or not.
Excellent. Right? So like we have to like if we're gonna make comparisons, let's try to make the fairest comparison, right?
Yeah.
So like if you're successful, like what's your net worth? Like I'm 21 years old and I run a $10 million company that I started 3 years ago. When I got a $20 million investment from my parents, and 3 years later it's worth 10. I built it. You gonna compare yourself to that guy?
Probably not, right?
Right?
I'm not like him at all. Yeah.
There's
So
overestimation.
who's the closest person we can compare you to?
I would guess someone in the same program as me who doesn't feel too secure about their prospects after they graduate.
Excellent.
So here's the thing: the truth of the matter is that whether you're an MBA program, whether you're going after your masters or your masters and you have a freaking minor as a bachelor, like there are so many people that, first of all, the biggest expectation, because things change and they change between the boomers and Gen X. By the time it hit millennials and even hit Zoomers now, was the idea that if you go to school, you are guaranteed to get a job in the field that you're looking for. And we got screwed on that. Now, I'm going to say that it wasn't because I think that they intentionally screwed us. Now, those who were betting against those industries, those who were siphoning funds from the industry, they definitely screwed us. So I'm talking about some of those boomers and some of the Xers. Some majority of the people that told other younger people, millennials and Gen Z, to go to school were only telling them that because it was also based on actual tangible results, that you could see that if you went to school, when you left, you did get a job. Not everybody got a job in their field, but I would say there was a good percentage of people that actually did. The difference is that when you're older, and this is something I try to get in my head as well as try to instill in other people who are younger, but also try to combat with people who are older. What worked for thee doesn't mean it works for me. Because it happened with you doesn't mean it will happen with me. The same way how I will say that I will just because our Ivy League grad and I have the same kind of degree, even if I have a higher GPA than that person, doesn't mean they're going to get the same results as me because they have. What if they have a 2.7 and I got a 4.0? But they have different connections than I do because they went to an Ivy League school versus me going to community college and then transferring over to a just regular school, regular university, not the most prestigious. What if I went to Columbia, and they went to Yale, but they graduated with a low GPA, but I had a higher GPA. They still may have the connections that get them the better job than me, to get them the higher paid than I. That's just a matter of circumstances. This It's a matter of rapport. It's a matter of network, not necessarily because who's smarter than who. And there are plenty of people who have so many different programs like that think they're the brightest. Like now, let's look at an example. Now they're pretty much looking for a lot of people who do coding to have been somebody who went through school. But when I first got into the tech game and networkers were network engineers were able to start getting through a whole bunch of different stuff, we were taking up the game. But there was such a separation. And actually there was actually along with that became when we got into the market, it became a separation anxiety. Because the biggest meme that was going on for people who were in the tech field was, do you code? And a lot of people who came from the tech field did not code because we were network engineers. We weren't programmers. We're now in the game. Pretty much everybody who walks into the network game, who walks into the field of tech, needs to know some sort of programming. Who would have thought? But it also meant that those who were programmers, you didn't need to go to school in order to be a programmer. There were plenty of people that were able to get prominent jobs, great jobs. They just had to prove their skill set. But now they're not really taking people who are walking into the door with no prior experience, because now you have to prove that you've done something, and that's why you have these boot camps. That's why you need to have a few projects under your belt, working with somebody. It's all these jumps and hurdles. So you say never thought of Reggie Jackson with Dr. J, but in fact, yeah, yeah. Eh, there are just so many. I, I'm hearing what this guy is saying, right? And I don't know how young he is. He sounds rather young. At least in my head, he sounds rather young. I would say mid to maybe later 20s, so maybe 26, 27. Um, but the idea that even in his head, dealing with these programs, these NBA programs, thinking that he was supposed to be so far ahead, I'm thinking there's actually something that's deeper in that. So I don't think it's just a matter of where he thinks he's supposed to be, and it could just be that. But I think there's other expectations that are in his head as to why he believes he's not quote enough.
And do you know anyone like that?
I know people who are nervous, but I'm just like our situations aren't the same because you've had the opportunity to have like they've done an internships elsewhere. They've stick one out, right?
Yeah.
Like on their own accord, and I haven't done that.
How can we get to someone even closer than that?
Someone that tried to but didn't, or I guess maybe not even tried because I didn't try.
Yeah. So is there anyone that you know who's in your major that didn't try to get an internship, et cetera, et cetera?
Well, my situation's a little bit special. I kind of had the option to do one, but uh, it's a pick and choose. You can choose to do an internship for like 3 months, or you can go abroad for international exchange. I
Oh, tell
chose
me that he went
international
abroad.
exchange.
Please tell me you went abroad.
You chose what?
International exchange, like an exchange program abroad in a different
Absolutely.
country for 6 months.
And how do you feel about that?
Well, I've already done it.
Mhm.
I'm glad I did it. It's like a very transformative experience. You meet like tons of different types of people and see how things are different like halfway across the world. I went to Europe and I'm from North America. But I come back and it's like
Good job,
I'm
buddy.
missing that like kind of foot in the door now. I don't have that experience that everyone else does, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I think what we're sort of getting to, David, is that the person you should really be comparing yourself to is yourself,
True.
Yeah, probably.
right?
But
True.
And this is where I think we've sort of discovered. Does that make sense? Like, because as you pointed out, like, so our mind. So let's take a step back. You don't feel confident in yourself, right?
no, yeah, yeah.
You're like, I'm doing what I'm supposed to.
Which is crazy. Like I hear what he's saying, but it's because he also has a low estimation of himself. Think about it. This young man has gone through an EBA program. He's been able to travel abroad, and I'm going to still stick to because I haven't really honed down on his age. But he sounds like he's in his his mid 20s. I would say mid 20s, mid this will for the long haul, we'll say early 30s, but I really think he's in mid 20s. He's been able to travel. He's been able to get a great program, and somehow, from what I'm getting, because I haven't seen the guy, I don't know what he looks like, but from what I'm getting from his voice, it's like he's judging himself. Like, I'm thinking about the title. Am I running out of time to be successful? He's young and yet he's killing himself when it comes to the aspect of time, how much time he has, whether he's comparing himself with other people. He's got a great program. He's even got experience being abroad on his belt. Now, he was in a program over there as well. So I'm assuming that he didn't waste his time. We don't know. But he's got more. He's got some experience that other people don't have. That never left the country. Probably never left the state. I don't see why he's not. No, he's not using that to his advantage. And there's something lingering in me that makes me think that there's something like, because to me it could have just been an opportunity. But I know for me personally, when I wanted to leave the country, um, it was for me to escape. I'm not gonna put that on him that maybe he just wanted to escape, but I don't know. I feel like there's something missing. There's something missing if he could turn around and get the program, go abroad, come back, and he still feels like he can't compete. There's something missing there. There's some kind of expectation he's throwing on himself.
To at my age, and when are you supposed to be a Giga Chad? Not yet. But
When?
also, I kind of don't feel good about myself, even though you're kind of doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
So, and yet you don't feel great about yourself. And then, as you pointed out, depending on who I compare myself to, like, when are you supposed to be what you strive to be?
When?
Like, when are you supposed to be, like, confident, financially stable, healthy, have a healthy social circle, maybe in a significant
Important
in a
question.
relationship with a significant other? Sure as hell is not supposed to be 8 months before you graduate. I can guarantee you that.
I was kind of thinking like the earlier the better, right?
Why?
Why?
Because that's kind of just life, right? If you're more ahead, that's like life is probably better, unless that's wrong.
Again, there's this thing about being more ahead. What do you mean more ahead? Like, more ahead of who exactly? What do you what do you think that you're getting ahead of? Who do you think that, quite frankly, is ahead of you? And there'll always be somebody ahead of you. Keep in mind, always will be. But what do you mean by that? I'm not really sure where he's getting at with this. Uh, you think he's fat? He's fat. He is fat ahead of his age group. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if the guy look like it's possible. It's all possible. Um, it could be that he hasn't hit. I don't know, because when we say hitting the starting line, right? Oh, far, not that. Okay. He's far ahead. Okay. I should have read that as that. He's far ahead, but for some reason he still thinks that he's not at the starting line yet. Like, that's the thing that's getting me. Like, you've already done more than what conventional people have done, and what do you mean you don't think that you start yet? Like, you have still a great amount of experience, especially with the NBA program that you've been in. LA, what's going on, man? What's going on? Like, I'm trying to figure out why he would believe that about himself. Oh,
I mean, if
something
you're
deeper going
ahead,
on.
what does that mean?
Like having a good circle of friends around you, a good support system, developing those early, getting into good habits like exercising, etc.
Is it a competition?
It kind of feels like one, like
Kind of
when
does.
yeah, just like a rat race kind
Yeah. But is it?
of. I guess when you really think about it, no, but I think the world is set up in a way where it's kind of designed to
I
be,
agree.
right?
Yeah.
I agree.
100%. The world
I mean, not for nothing, Mayo. I've been out of post education for over 10, well over 10 years. We're talking about Yes, it's been a while. It's been a long time since I left. Since I left. So we're talking about maybe 13 years or so. 13 years or so since I left. And even I think about going back to school strictly for an MBA program because, for one, MBA programs don't take a lot of time. MBA programs don't take you like, for what I understood when I first heard about MBA programs, they used to take you a while because you're going for a master's. But now MBA programs you can complete it within a year. You can get a really good MBA program within a year's time. So I don't know. I think about it. I think about beefing up my portfolio and moving up in there. Especially as someone like right now, that people look at me and they go, "I want to hire you, but what have you been doing all this time?" And I'm like, "Working contract wise." They're like, "Yeah, but I look at your resume and it's like, what have you been doing though?" Like, because for some reason, and we all know this, but for some reason in the U.S., people don't believe in you taking breaks. People don't believe in you taking a sabbatical. People don't believe in you enjoying your life. We have this culture where you must work till you die. This idea of you spending, let's just say if I earned a shit ton of money for myself, right? And I said, I want to take a year off. I figured I already allocated how to do my money. I'm in a shit ton of money. Let's just say I made $250,000. I'm gonna quit my job. I'm gonna travel. I'm gonna chill for a while, and then after I'm really low on my money, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna go back into the workforce. People look at you weird for that. What do you mean that you had that money and you traveled and you took time off and now you're kind of come back? That's weird. Like, I don't get it. I don't get that mindset when it comes to business, that they believe that you should never be at a period where you do not work. Where you do not work, you're supposed to just break your back until you die. You're not supposed to be selfish. You want to spend time with yourself. It's weirdly weird. And they say, "Oh, so what have you been doing all the time?" I'm like, I've been chilling. I've been traveling. I've been just holding on to my expenses. Well, why didn't you just hop straight in the job market? I'm like, cause I left for a reason. I wanted to chill, and if I want to get back in, I'm gonna get back in. And that's it. Like that. That's just that's just gonna be what it is. And they people don't really get it.
Tries to compare you to other people all the time. Because there are people out there, David, who are thinking to themselves, oh my God, I wish I was like David. David is so much better than me because he's exercising regularly. And this guy is disciplined. He doesn't even want to work out. But he still works out. And he's graduating and I dropped out of school. What? It's useless to compare.
Right.
So this is where, like, I'd say a couple things. The first is where you are, I think, is developmentally appropriate. Do you know what that term means?
Like the way I see the world and the way I am is appropriate for where I'm at in the stage I'm at in my life.
100%. I do not expect a 21-year, I don't know how old you are, but someone who's 8 months away from graduating from college to be financially stable, have all their social life sorted out. Like, what's the job of a college student?
Study, kind of set their life up for success later in life.
Sounds like you're exercising. Sounds like you're going to graduate. Sounds like you've got some stuff to figure out. What do you think?
I think I have a lot to figure out, not some stuff.
I agree. You have a lot to figure out.
Nice, was good.
How long do you have to figure it out?
Your whole life, man. It's your whole life.
Again, it depends, I guess. Figure out, like,
No, it doesn't.
career-wise, get it. Does it not, really?
Nope. Literally, how long do you have to figure it out?
Like everything? I guess I have my whole life. Right?
Absolutely. The amount of time you have is until you die.
Smart boy.
That's like literally how long you have to figure it out. What do you think about that?
I feel like there's a good time and a bad time to figure things out. I think there's like such a thing as figuring things out too late, and which may put you behind, which brings us to the whole thing about it not being a competition, but it definitely feels that way.
Yeah.
So, okay, so once again, we hear about this whole thing about people saying that they think there's a certain time that they need to meet a particular threshold. I'm trying to figure out, where did we get that from? I I wholeheartedly agree with that. Where did we get this ideal? Eh, I think about this. I think about this on multiple aspects. I would think about this career. I think about this in terms of age. Then I also think about this in terms of mortality, right? And when I say mortality, I mean like from if there wasn't the modern day science, how often people would die much younger. People would be dying in their 30s if they're lucky they made it to their 40s. What do you mean? Like you don't have enough time. What do you mean that you think that you were supposed to do things earlier? How much earlier? Like I'll still go on the fact that I feel like this guy's in his freaking 20s. Like he's in his mid to late 20s. So what exactly are you talking about? Why is it you feel like you're not in alignment with shit? There are people who are. Why is it he doesn't understand that in this day and age there are people who are in their 30s? Most people who I know who are starting their life over are in their 30s, which is not old, not at all, not by a little bit. Then you have people that's still doing it in their 50s and 60s. Why does he feel like he's far behind? Why does he feel like he's not even in the middle point of the race? Like I'm trying to figure that part out.
Have you figured things out too late, David? Has that
I
happened
think
to you before?
there are things that I know that I don't know that I feel like I'm behind on.
So what are you going to do about it?
Possible.
The easy answer would be to say, figure it out, but no one tells you how, right?
Good. So, how are you feeling about this conversation?
I'm not sure. I don't know, like, kind of if it's gonna change the way I see the world or the way I'm thinking, what I'm gonna learn from it.
Yep, I completely agree.
Just a little unsure.
Yeah. So we're gonna try to share something with you. We'll see whether it changes things or not. But I'm asking a lot of questions. I think you're giving all the right answers. I think that this is where like maybe I can help you synthesize into a hypothesis that you've put together. So, David, I think that there's advice that we give people, right? So like number one is don't compare to other people. And what you've actually really done is given us a very good argument for why that is. Because it's sort of like, there's no point in comparing because you're just not in that situation. And if comparison is off the table because it's really like it's just useless. Like it's like if I, heaven forbid,
I don't think that's the case at all. I think he's very much comparing himself to other people. Because he's not comparing himself to himself. He's only measuring himself against what is considered to be successful to other people. One of the things he already brought up were the idea that he thought he was behind because he went abroad to travel versus staying inside the state and taking advantage of the internship program that was there. You're absolutely, comparing yourself to other people. So I don't understand why. Maybe Dr. K will explain that, but I don't understand why Dr. K brought that up.
At the age of 15, got into a car accident where I had a cerebral hemorrhage and lost a part of my brain. Like it's useless to compare myself to people who like that didn't happen to. What's acceptable or not acceptable, what's appropriate or not appropriate.
Thank you, Butterfly. I forget that sometimes. Again, new. Potato Super 111. Thank you. The channel is about having thought provoking conversations. Sometimes we do get into controversial stuff. Sometimes that we react. Mainly the part of the content that I focus on is mainly about the narratives and talking points that happen throughout media. It can be social media, it can be traditional media, it can be on the mediums that we hear within our own lives and hear within our friends and our families. Because part of the problem that we have is that we get so much in the social media age. I'll say because plenty of people who already watch me know this already. I'm 42, and I remember a time growing up with the internet, as we all have, that we were able to watch things online or even watch things on TV. And when we cut the TV off, cut the internet off, we were good. We went back to our regular lives. The problem that we have now is that people all over the spectrum of media take social media, take regular traditional media, and they bring it into their personal lives. And they start spitting out narratives, rhetoric, and talking points to other people when there's no actual instance of what's going on in their life. So the question and the challenge that I bring to anybody who's watching my channel, who engages with conversation with me, who does get on panels with me, because I travel across and get on other people's panels as well, is that when you are opening your mouth, because I say this to people all the time, when you open your mouth, you should be careful, because when you open your mouth, you tell the world who you are. So when you're opening your mouth to tell the world who you are the words that are coming out of your mouth truly your words, or are they the words of all the media that you've been indoctrinated by? And the point that we have the channel is to decide, is to make that difference in it, to have the delineation, to make sure that there's a difference in that, so that you get critical thought back to you. What we do is we engage in critical thought. I ask a lot of weird questions. I ask questions that make people think and pause. And I do get on other people's platforms where they turn around and they go, I never thought about that. Not because I think I'm great, but I believe that communication is key. And too many times, because of social media, we become more followers because we get indoctrinated by hearing the same rhetoric than we do becoming thought provokers, thought leaders. And hopefully I sum that up for you. I think over time, when you get to see how I am, whatever, then you'll understand that's exactly the kind of range that I go and how I have my conversations. Because even in social media now, I don't know what kind of platforms you get on, but typically the ones that I see, it's all about having arguments and having about circular conversations and not necessarily getting down to the core of the message. That's pretty much it. But if this is the kind of channel for you, I would just I would encourage you to subscribe, see how if you like it or not. I do a live stream twice a week, on Wednesdays at 4 and then also a Saturday at 4. And I do content in between the week. I will be expanding the platform as well, because I do join and meet up with other people and such. Sometimes I do drop content on Tuesday. It's a whole bunch of things. Hey, look, speak of someone who's coming on, that's someone I do content with, is OG Do Dirty. Be sure to check out his channel as well. We actually do a joint channel. It's called the Drop By Discussions, which happens this late night. It's a very late night conversation. So hopefully you might want to check it out. If anything, you can check out my channel. You can check out the community, everything like that. We're still growing, and hopefully you'll stick by and see if it's anything good. If it's something that rocks with you, then I wholeheartedly accept you into the opinionated community. I appreciate you, and I'll see you in continuing episodes. This particular episode, I'm not sure I'm gonna open up the platform. I'm not gonna open up the panel, but there are plenty of episodes where I do open up the panel, and then people can give their free thoughts on a whole bunch of stuff. So I look forward to see you in the future as well. But feel free to engage with everybody that's here in the chat. I do read the chat. I do like to engage, and from time to time, like I said, I will also take on other topics, other things like that. You can always feel free to reach out to me also as well. Let me just put this up so that you'll see it, because I am on other mediums. So I do have my Twitter, which I will change that by the way. Of course, you already see me here on Resla on YouTube, but I also have an Instagram, which is Resla Opinionated, where I have my photography / content that I'm not building up into. And then you can also send me any topics or questions or anything that you think you might be interested in at wrestleopinionated@gmail.com. Sorry, always new people coming in, so I always like to make sure that they understand what's going on, especially when they personally ask what the channel is about. So hopefully you'll get a part of the community and you enjoy everything that's going on here.
Whether I'm ahead or behind, you can look at anyone else, and as you pointed out, depending on your comparison, you will be ahead, and depending on your comparison, you will be behind. And even if you are ahead, you won't be happy.
Why is that?
I'm happy he made that point, because it was a great question to spark in his mind, because he's searching for happiness. He's searching for where he's supposed to be content, and he's done a lot already. He really, really has. But for some reason in his mind, he doesn't think he's done a lot. And I don't know if it's something in his past or he's beating himself up for something. But I'm hoping that Dr. K will actually get down to it.
It's because that's not where happiness comes from. Because you are ahead of some people, right?
Right. Yeah, that's
Does
true.
it make you happy?
No.
So like, let's say you started like working out more than you did, or you have a GPA that's slightly better than another human being elsewhere on the planet. Is that going to make you more happy?
It might give me like a little bit of pride if knowing that I'm doing well and that I'm doing like I'm good at
But that's a
something.
measure.
But
That will give you
ultimately,
pride.
probably not.
But
Mhm.
doing well and knowing how to do something has nothing to do with comparison.
I agree.
That comes from within.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's joy.
Right? So it depends on whether you're measuring up against like what you care about or whether you're comparing to someone else.
Agreed.
Does that make sense? Because you're ahead of some people, and it's not like you're 50% happy because you're ahead of 50 people. Like, sure, you can take every,
CCD, what's going on?
every university student in your school, you can rank them, and you can objectively be somewhere. You can do that. But it's not like moving up 5 ranks or moving down 5 ranks makes you happier. Right?
Right. Yeah, I hear you.
So this is where I
So
think there are
true.
a couple of things that we got to sort of think about. So then it's like, okay, so we're on this call, and you're like, okay, so what do I do about it? Because I'm not confident in myself. So that's where I'd say, like, number one is like, what you should like, your confidence and stuff is going to come from your satisfaction with yourself.
Correct.
It's not going to come from outperforming someone else. Agree or disagree?
I agree. Yeah.
So like now we get to, so how do you move forward from here? Like, why are you not confident in yourself? I don't mean that as like a deep existential question. I mean, like, literally, what are you unhappy with about yourself?
I would just say I'm just not happy that I haven't been able to achieve a lot of things that I feel like I should have.
Like what?
Like
Yeah, like what? I'm trying to.
maybe these are
You're already
out of
sitting
my
at the
control,
top.
but I haven't really made friends in university. Because COVID virtual for 2 years, I had my first semester in person, and I kind of just like, I don't know. I've changed a lot in the last couple of years. I was a huge shut-in, very shy, didn't really talk to.
So this was something that I mentioned earlier. Like because I've met people who come from NBA programs, and some of we tend to believe because of like media, because of movies, things like that. Like they're all these extroverts. They all go out. They all drink. They all like to buy good cars and fuck models and whatever. Like again, the Gordon Geckos, the freaking the Wolf of Wall Street. Like most of those guys are not like that. That's a very small segment of people that actually are that extroverted. Most people who I know who come from like MIT or just high graduate programs or even have MBAs and such, they're actually to themselves. They're socially awkward because they spent a lot of time actually just focusing on their craft. Even people I know who are really good coders, they're not the most sociable people because that would take away from their studies. They're actually pretty much introverts. I mean, not for nothing. A lot of people see me and they see me talk all over the internet or they see me have these conversations with people, but I'm very much an introvert. I'm very much a shut-in. I have to put things in place to make sure that I get outside. One of the things I do is I take pictures. I force myself to go outside to be my own photographer to go out into the world. And because of that, I engross in having conversations. But naturally I am an introvert. It just so happens that I force myself to be out of it. I am very sociably adept, but I am not naturally there. It's the whole conversation that we have in the relationship spheres of the whole alpha versus thoroughbred. Like I am not a thoroughbred. I had to learn to become a leader. I wasn't a natural leader. Because there are people that believe that there's no such thing as skilled leaders, which is bullshit. Anyone can become a leader because leadership is a skill. Communication is a skill. Direction and delegation is a skill. Like, what are we talking about here? But though that's a different conversation for somewhere else, and maybe we can talk about that. Maybe we won't, but it won't be this episode. So
People had a lot of trouble with stuff like that.
And you've changed a lot? In what way?
butterfly,
I can talk to
goddamn,
people
remember
easier
this.
now, like based on the fact that I'm here. I probably wouldn't have done something like this a couple of years ago.
Do you feel good about yourself for that?
No, but there are people that let me know that I should be.
Yeah. So that's kind of tricky, right? So like here you are, actually like decently on your way to become a Giga Chad.
I don't know about Giga,
I
but
wouldn't
okay.
say that, but sure.
I am saying that, right? So I know you wouldn't. If you were saying it, then I wouldn't have
He's
to.
doing well. He's not a Giga.
And what do I mean by that? Like, so you're going to graduate from college. Sounds like you were one hell of a shut in, plus the COVID pandemic, and you're like growing. Like, so here's what I see. I see like what's happening to the level, like what's happening to your XP bar, David. Do you play games?
Yeah, I do.
What's happening to your XP bar?
It's going up.
It's going up, right?
Are other people going up faster or other people higher level than you? Sure. But like your XP bar is going up. That's why I'm confident that you're well on your way to become a Giga Chad. Now there's more to it than that.
Okay,
but
he's
basically what I'm
placating, but
hearing is that
technically everybody is.
so you're graduating, so that's one step forward in the financial standpoint. Confidence is like confidence is not increasing despite the fact that you're getting better. Can we agree with that? Like objectively, you're getting better. You're socially better. You're exercising every day. People can't see you, but you've got a nice head of hair. So that's that's working for you. So it sounds like you're healthy. Sounds like you're improving socially, and you're also like here, which actually indicates to me that you will. This is a good prognostic sign because you're working on yourself intentionally. This is the one thing that most people your age don't do, which is that they just kind of like AFK instead of being like very intentional. Does that make sense?
I love the gamer reference.
Yeah, that does.
So,
AFK.
and I think it's developmentally appropriate. Like, I don't know how to say this, David, but at 21, I'm assuming you're 21. Who knows? But 22, 20, whatever. How old are you?
20.
Okay, so you're 20.
He's
and you're
20.
going to graduate
He's
in 8
early.
months. Right?
Yeah.
So you're like, technically, you're ahead of the game. Because
Whoa,
most people
whoa,
graduate
whoa,
when they're
whoa.
22.
Whoa. Pause. Holy shit. This man think he's behind. He should probably think he probably thinks he should be married already. Probably should be starting on his first kid, even though he's not the kind of person that thinks about kids. The man's got an NBA program. He's got his degree already, folks. He got his degree already. He's already been abroad. He comes back to the States. He's 20 years old. 20 from an NBA program. He's 20 years old. Do you understand how early he must have went to university at 17. 17, you know what? Considering the fact that we are 2024 right now, NBA programs typically take about a year and a couple of months. He did it at 18, 19. Maybe he chilled a little bit because he was abroad as well. Maybe it took him a little time to come back to the States. 20 years old now. Bro, what are we saying here? Like, you're killing the game. You can walk. Like, I don't know exactly where your MBA is, but I'm assuming it's going to be in business. I'm assuming because most MBA programs focus on business. You're walking into a place immediately making 6 figures. At the low end of 6 figures, but you're making 6 figures. What do you mean? Like, you're. Holy shit, that is wild. He can literally have enough money within 2 years to pay off his 2 years. If he's aggressive with it, he can pay off his tuition and go back to school again if he wanted to, and be working for a company that will help incentivize that. How is he losing? How does he figure he's behind? He's 20. He got the double O. He's not even drinking age. Holy. I need Dr. K. I hope you can say something that's gonna straighten this man up. That's crazy. That's crazy. Yo, that's a fact. He's got more than a few. He's got more than a few mistakes. He's got the jackpot. He hit the lottery. At 20, you do understand all the mistakes I was making? I knew nothing. I couldn't even go to my parents because they didn't know shit. They were still trying to figure themselves out as adults. And I went down that same route to try to figure myself out as an adult. This man already hit the jackpot. It comes to tell you that it doesn't matter where you are in life, you can feel stuck. Exact. Exactly. My man is way ahead of average. How many of how many of us are older and we wish, not not wish to go back, but we wish that we were in a safe enough position where we can say that we were at this man's age. Not, you know what? Let's just take it away. We won't even say us. How many of us just wish that if we have children that they would wind up to be as successful as this man is? He doesn't even count himself to be successful. How many of us wish that if we just have a son or a daughter, that we wish that they can be at his fucking predicament right now? 20 years old, NBA degree, has already fucking left the country. The country. Not the state, the country. On his own. 20 years old, NBA. And he feels like he's behind. No kids. Woo! Seriously? He's by all expectation, he's winning. He is winning. And that's the sad part, he thinks he's losing, folks. He thinks he's a loser. This man needs some serious coaching. Hopefully Dr. K, because he's a psychiatrist, he can manage him, he can get it in, he can get that in him. But this is also an issue that we have when it comes to young men. Like, they don't have those figures to help get them out. Because this man, definitely, he's winning. I don't understand where in his life told him that he's not good enough. Because I would be, if it was me, especially how I was at my teens and my 20s, I was a cocky son of a bitch. And he feels like he's losing? Oh, that's crazy. He's so much ahead. That is crazy right now.
Right?
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Does that make you happier?
I feel like I could have done better. Like, oh, I could have graduated in 3 years instead of 4. I could have. If I really tried, I could have. I could have graduated last year.
So now we get to why you're not confident. Okay? So I'm going to ask you a question, David. When there is something you could be confident about, what does your mind do to it?
What's the
No, Chaser, you may have to keep doing that to me today. Because thank you, everybody. You may have to do it to me today because I've been drinking and I've been trying to keep drinking. I'm trying to get myself in the stream. But CCD, you're absolutely right. At 20 years old, even if he wound up at Germany or Okinawa, he's still hitting the fucking jackpot. Even that's lucky, because all I ever hear is great things about Germany and Okinawa. He would still be hitting the fucking jackpot. I would rather be there than wind up being in fucking Nova Scotia or fucking Afghanistan or Iran or whatever. I don't want to be nowhere in the desert if I'm fucking that young. If he winds up in Okinawa or Japan, he is blessed. He is blessed by the gods. Because I only hear great. If he winds up in Japan, if he winds up in Germany, if he winds up in fucking Korea, I only hear great things for everybody who goes to those places. Great things. He would still be blessed. That is crazy to me. He thinks he's doing bad. He's 20 years old. So he's 20 years old. He graduated from an NBA program. He went to Europe to do his internship in Europe. He came back to the States, and somehow he believes he's behind. He's 20 years old. He thinks he's losing. It's crazy to me. I'm thinking, I've been saying this guy's got to be in his mid-20s, early 30s. He's winning. He doesn't understand he already won. He already won. He's 20. He could pay off all his debts, go back to school and get a fucking another master's if he wants to. He's winning. He doesn't understand. And I'm trying to understand what put him in this mindset. Do you understand how many people would give it? How many older men would, if they could go back in time and be in his predicament, would give their left nutsack to be in his predicament? He's bright. He's beyond bright. And he thinks that he's somehow behind. It's crazy right now. Yo, that's a fact. Lack of experience. Because a girl early enough could have fucked his whole shit up. He could have gone across countries, across seas, and somebody would have fucked his life up. Hell, I see young girls today and they turn around and say, this pussy's gonna fuck his life up. And he didn't run across that. He managed to go across seas, come back unscathed. Damn. How do we not believe he's not touched by angels? This is crazy. Well, here's the thing, CCD. He believes he's behind. Because one of the questions I got asked is like, what do you think? You think you should be married with kids? He's like, I don't know. Like, kids are not really my future, but I think that I should have something. Like, he thinks he should at least be with a girl locked down or something like that. I'm going, no, you're 20. At first, I thought he was like 26, 27. He's 20. He's not even drinking age. Damn. He didn't even get the chance to vote for Obama. All he had is Biden. All he had is Biden. This is the first time he's really going to be... In fact, this is going to be the first time he's really able to vote. Because when he got to 18, Biden was already in. This is going to be his first election. And he's winning the game. This is crazy right now. Yo, I'm not a person that likes to go back into the past. But even I would say, you're fucking up. I would probably trade places with you. Because I can only think of a better predicament to be in. You're absolutely winning. Hands down. There's no one who should not be giving you a proper respect. Because you don't even understand the sacrifices that you made to get there. And if they weren't sacrifices, you are astoundingly bright. Even if he's losing it as women, is he really losing? It's a win. Have you not seen the way how women are moving these days? It's a win. It's in his favor. It's a fucking win. It's a win. Yo, it's a win. He doesn't need to be a rim brother. If he meets the proper woman way later, he doesn't need to worry about that because he don't have to worry about none of those girls even getting close to his mind because they won't even qualify to be next to him. That's the thing, Butterfly. They won't even qualify to be next to him. He's already in a different bracket. He's in a different bracket that most of us won't see, and he doesn't even realize it. That's crazy. Wear a white face. I can't. Is he though? Is he? Hey, you know what? And I'm even gonna go this further. If it means he doesn't get ruined, how is that a bad thing? I would rather this man be successful and quote be an incel than have himself being ruined and thinking that his whole life is revolved around getting vagina. Let me repeat myself. I would rather him be wildly successful and be the next Elon Musk or whatever than him waste his time chasing pussy and losing everything he ever had for his life. Absolutely. I rather him be wildly successful than be ruined by the viscous innards. No, that gotta be him. Because he could have ran across so many other women that already would have fucked his life up. He went across seas, sir. In Europe? You don't know they be giving up in Europe? See, these fucking mentioned fucking Japan and fucking Germany. You know how they give it up? My man has been due diligent through and through. Hopefully, because of the way he moves and the way how he's been his diligent in his life, that only the right women get the access to him. I wish that upon him. He should not at all be dealing with the kind of Western ratchet bitches that we see here. If he's going to get ass, it better be from the foreign perspective because they're not worth it here.
The word invalidates it.
Very good. Right? Can you be proud of you exercising regularly?
I could be, but like my mind just tells me you should be doing this anyway.
Exactly. So like this is the problem. It's not actually that objectively you're doing anything bad. It's that anytime you have a win, your mind doesn't let you record it in the W column. It takes your W's and shifts them over to the L.
Right. Yeah. I get what you mean.
Like, isn't that weird?
Yeah. I honestly think I know where it comes from, probably from my childhood.
Shocking.
Yeah.
Tell us if you feel comfortable.
Yeah, so this isn't exactly childhood, but this is probably the one that stands out the most in my mind. I was 18. This was my first semester of college, and
I called it
I don't know how the
MBA 1 year.
GPA scale is in America. It's different here where I'm from, but it's basically it goes from 0 to 4.33. 4.33 is like the highest, and anything above like 3.6 is like an A. So during my first semester, I had a GPA of 4.27. And I showed my parents because they wanted to see how my grades are doing. And my mom looked at it, and I was like, and she looked at the courses, so there were like a few, like most of them were 4.33, and then I had like one 4.00, which is like the next grade down. And then she was like, so you need to do
fucking a
better on
genius.
this. This is still bad. And then after that, I kind of just
Send her to hell. I said what I said. Send her to hell. First of all, he must have had like a tiger mom or something. He was 18. Oh, you know what? Let me just ask the question. Let me not put my own myopic view of experience on it. So y'all who's already here. How many of you at 18 years old, you're a senior, were still running around showing your parents your fucking report card? I need to know this. How, you know what? Hold up. In case it takes too long for you guys to actually make it easier. How many of y'all at 18 do this? There it goes. Poll in the chat. How many of y'all at 18 was showing your report? Oh, I missed the R. Report card to mommy and daddy. Was you a good little boy and girl and say me? Or you were saying fuck that report card? I'm 18. I am a senior. I went to the dance. I fucked the girl behind the bleachers. I already enrolled in uni. Like, yeah, because some of y'all can't say daddy because some of y'all got a speech impediment. So you say Danny. Some of y'all got a speech impediment. Y'all can't pronounce the M's. So y'all say Danny. And I'm gonna leave that butterfly for all little ones that basically, you know, they come from the South, so they all got different words as well. So I'm gonna leave that open for them as well. How many of y'all was going out of your way to say, I show my report every year. I wanted to make sure I got a pat on the head, and I was so. You're a good boy, good boy. How many of y'all was still seeking mommy and daddy's validation at 18 years of age? You ain't have nothing else going on? 18 years of age? You wasn't thinking about hanging out with your friends, what's going to happen when you done with school? Seriously? You were sitting there wondering, what? I hope my mom is going to be so proud of me. And again, I'm definitely being a little bit hyperbolic right now, because for me, hold on, let's do this correctly. For me, when I was in school, I said this before to people, but I'll say it in case, because the new people was watching as well. We don't have a whole big crowd here. But when I entered high school, actually, when I was in junior high school, from junior high school all the way until I graduated, I have never had my parents come to my school for teacher-parent conference. Now, I'm not going to tell you I was a grade A student like this mofo here. I was a good student. I was a very good student. I could have been a grade A student like this guy. I could have been. But you know why I wasn't a grade A student? I hated homework. I disliked class participation. I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. And then at 17, I got my first full-time relationship. 17. Actually, I'm lying. 16. 16, I got my first full-time relationship. We went to junior prom. We went to senior prom. First full-time relationship. All that other shit, and I keep in mind from high school going on, I did not do homework. I would get begged by teachers to do homework. I was good. Listen, I was phenomenal at tests. I was phenomenal doing, if you want to call it the midterm, the mid-semester, whatever. Great at it. Great at the finals. All that stuff. But I was a B and C student. I was a B in everything except math. And the only reason why I got a C in math, because I had a silver tongue. And I never used it the way I wanted to use it, because there was one teacher, she was bad as fuck. I would have definitely used my tongue. I definitely would use my silver tongue to try to get that B. But she gave me a C. It was just a C. Not a C minus, not a C plus, just a C. But if she had offered, I would have used the silver tongue to try to raise that grade. Just saying. In case you're watching, with my ex, and yes, I would have cheated to get a better grade. Yes, I would have. I know it was early in our years, but I would have cheated to definitely get a better grade. It is what it is. It's the past now. It's the past. I could talk shit if I want to. We're not together anymore. The fuck is your problem? But I would have absolutely used that tongue. Because the bitch was bad too. She had a badass math teacher. Absolutely. Well, I was young, so I can't say I had a grade A tongue. I didn't have a whole lot of experience. I was still young. I can't say I had waterfalls. I can't say I had waterfalls gushing towards me. I can't say I had the whole water spout flying at me. I don't even think I was dealing with girls who squirted like back then. Just relax. I was young. If I had that kind of tongue, I absolutely would have went for the A+. Because there were definitely teachers that said they don't give A+. I would have tested that theory. But that's not where we was. We're getting off the mark. This man was winning. And I got a 50-50 fucking poll that's telling me that half of y'all was goody two-shoes. Y'all was Boy Scouts. Y'all said, Mommy, I got the A's. Can you make my favorite meal? Dad, aren't I a good boy or girl? I didn't have that. In fact, We gonna start changing shit up now. We go, I got some dancing back and forth. Someone said, looks like the polls are changing. I'm gonna give it a little bit of time. Let the polls are changing. Let the polls are changing. Let's look at that. We got Mystic Monica that walked in. She says, Richie! Absolutely. And the polls are changing. Looks like we may have a 60, 40, saying that most people said F that. Because I know I'm in the F that camp. I didn't show my freaking parents my report card, even though I was doing well. They never asked me. You know why they never asked me? Because they come from an age where it said if the teachers didn't call to tell you that your kids was effing up, there was no reason to get concerned because they were too busy working to put food on the table. And I totally understood that. And I totally took advantage of it. How's everything? I'm cool. You ain't got no homework? My teachers never give homework. Really? Yeah, it's just the way things are now. Yeah, we just do a whole bunch of shit. My teachers never give homework. Of course I never did homework. And I would say my teachers never gave homework. I literally had a teacher. I'm not gonna talk about what I used to do with this teacher. And I had this teacher who would literally be like, Regi, because she was a Spanish teacher. Hi, Miss Braille. I don't know how old you are now, but we're not gonna talk about that. You on your own. I'm not gonna give you your first name. Anyway, she would beg me practically to do the midterm work so I could catch up because she wanted to give me a great grade because I was already awesome in the class. Awesome in the fucking class. And you know what I would say? Ooh. I almost gave her first name. Hold up. But miss, I don't do homework. She's like, but you do everything else. You do the class participation. You know, I'm not giving her accent because her accent is like she's Dominican, so she's dark skinned Dominican too. Ooh, remember? Silence. Gentlemen don't kiss and tell, right? I gotta be a gentleman right now. So she would beg for me to pretty much do the work, and I said I don't do it. She said, well, please do it for me, and I said, I'll think about it. I dragged that fucking midterm work for 2 weeks. And when I gave it back to her, the only thing it had on me was my fucking name. Not even my last name, just my first name. You know what? And I should have spelled it out as long as Monica put it out. Richie! I thought that's the way I should have did it. I didn't do it, though. It was just regular spelling. I should have stretched it out, though. I should have stretched it out like we're gentlemen today. We're gentlemen today, folks. But I didn't. I still got a good grade. I still got the B. I didn't get the A. I got the B. But I got the B and she got the gentlemen don't kiss and tell. I'm not even going to say at the time that I was or was not in a relationship. But I just say for everybody, I was a good student and I worked for my grade. I put a lot of work and effort into my grade. I wasn't an A student, but I was a try-hard. And that's what matters. That's everything that matters. But to say that this young man should have gotten ruined, I think he made all the right decisions. And I think at 20, he should have his pick of the litter. And I really hope that Dr. K is able to help him because he seemed to be dealing with a very early existential crisis. Zoomer, who's a Pookie? Who's a Pookie? I have shit. I have not been a Pookie in a long time. I have not in a very long time. It was maybe once upon a time. It's been a very long time. I have not been that in a very long time. Okay? No, not Sir Pookie at all. And the people I was dealing with were Phukets. So it worked out. You know, it was symmetry. We weren't. It was nothing. We were symmetry. It wasn't. It was never long term. You know, it might have been a time. May have been a time where I accepted some money. But anyway, that was a long time ago. I have been reformed my ways. I have met people who have totally believed in Jesus. I have definitely watched them pray. I have definitely drank wine with them. But yeah, yeah. I think this man is gonna be in good shape, and I think Dr. K. I think Dr. K is gonna send him on his way. Let's see it.
Just like I was a little bit disillusioned. I was like, okay, I'm just not gonna show you my grades anymore if that's all you're gonna have to say. And I haven't shown them since. So
Okay, so help us understand, David, because you're introspective and you've got an answer for us. What connect these dots for me? What is that story? Or how does that relate to you? What's going on? Lay it out for us.
I guess I take what I've been told all my life and in my childhood, because if it was happening then, it was happening before as well, and I've kind of internalized it.
What were you told, and what have you internalized?
What did you internalize? Yeah.
That I'll never be good enough.
He's winning.
What do you think about that?
Some days it does feel true. Like there will always be someone better than me, right?
That is correct. That is a statement of fact. There will always be someone better than you.
Mm-hmm. I guess it shows through a lot of my personality. Like I always kind of want to be the best in things that I care about.
And why do you want to be the best?
I guess it's just something I've carried over from what people have told me.
Sort of, right? So I think the reason you want to be the best
definitely.
is because then you'll be confident, right? If you're number one, then you'll be happy. Then you'll be confident. You'll have achieved.
Definitely,
you'll
Zoomer.
win the race. And then you'll feel good about yourself. With me?
Yeah.
He doesn't even understand.
Now,
He's one of
here's
the front runners.
You strive to be number one. But every time you take a step forward, what do you do with the W?
Turn it into an L.
Absolutely. You're playing a rigged game.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see that? You're trying to solve the confidence by achievement. But anytime you achieve, you move it to an L, which is how we get someone. So let me explain something to you, okay? This is going to sound kind of confusing. So bear with me, David. Mm-hmm. I knew a guy once. His name was David. He was 18 years old, started college, got a 4.27 GPA. He exercises, was a social shut-in. Years later, despite the pandemic, is getting socially better. Is basically like doing pretty well in a lot of dimensions, like has some rough parents and things like that. Man, that guy is nothing to be proud
You ain't
of, right?
shit.
Because he ain't perfect.
That sounds absurd when you put it like that, right?
So here's the tricky thing. The one thing, because you're doing a really good job. We already said you're introspective. You've come a long way. Okay? You may not feel like it yet, but hopefully, I mean, who knows? We'll see. We're going to just do the best that we can today. And that's all that we can do. It's not like we can do better, and it's not like we can do worse, right? And if it's not good enough, it's not good enough. So one thing that I want to point out to you about your story that really stuck out to me. When your parents saw your report card and they said, you need to do better at 4.0, what did you do in response?
I became like kind of apathetic and I rejected their response.
Incorrect. That's
not what he did.
Point. You didn't reject their response. What did you decide to do physically?
Yep.
You shared this with us.
You hit it.
I just stopped showing them my grades.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason you stopped showing them your grades is because you actually accepted it, right? You didn't reject what they say. If you truly rejected what they said, you would have kept on showing them report cards. If they want to be unhappy, they can be unhappy.
Agreed.
That's on them.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does now.
The second you stop showing them the report card is the second you didn't need them to tell you anymore. You just internalized it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do you think about that?
I mean, like, my grades are still the same. Like, throughout these years, I'd say I'm doing all right, doing pretty well. But I don't ever, like, my grades are like one of the strong points where I feel like, yeah, I'm doing good. I'm doing well. I don't really have anything to worry about there.
Do you show them to your parents?
No,
Why not?
because I know what they're gonna have to say about it.
And how does what they say about it make you feel?
Before it would probably make me feel bad, but now it's like I just don't care enough, or like I don't hold their opinion about my grades in a high regard.
So I think you've learned. We don't really know, right? But I would hypothesize, like, put something to you, which is that, like, you still do care. You've just learned how
This
to
is slander.
be calloused. Like, 'cause
Probably,
it's going to
yeah.
hurt, right? Because you want to be proud of your grades. And if you're really proud of your grades, it's like, you know, like, other people can be upset with it, but when we're confident in ourselves, other people can say whatever they want to and it won't affect us.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
but what I'm hearing from you is like, you're not showing your parents because they're still going to be disappointed in you, because that's like, it's not perfect, which means they're not going to be happy. And you don't want to deal with that.
Yeah, it's just too much of a headache to like get into an argument about something.
Yeah,
like that.
right? So when we say too much of a headache, like, we're going to interpret a little bit there. There's,
You know, I got a little side topic about this particular thing that you just said, CCD, basically saying that you will never know true happiness until you stop caring about what other people think about you. Just do what you like. You'll never make everyone happy. There is a particular type of content. There's a particular type of script that I am working on. I just haven't figured out how I want to finish it yet, but I have been working on it. And that was a great thought, because I was wondering about it, and now you just brought it to my attention again. So
you're going to feel hurt because they're not proud of you. And since they're not proud of you, you know, you don't know how to be proud of yourself, et cetera, et cetera. We've already kind of covered that. You with me?
Yeah, I'm with you.
So a couple things, like, what do you think? I mean, how do you move forward from this, David?
I guess.
It's a hard
Like,
question.
grow and stop caring. Kind of about what they might have to say.
Yeah, so I think eventually, I hope that you get.
So we've discovered that pretty much, as much as this guy is winning, he is held back by the memory of his parents, namely his mom, not being the person who actually told him that he did a good job when he was coming home with phenomenal marks. Phenomenal marks. That's sad. That, imagine this, like, you're doing the, I mean, unless it came really easy to him, but how dare your parents be able to not acknowledge the fact that this is not a normal thing, and them not celebrating you, celebrating their own their own creation. I think that's really, really harsh. And it makes me think of like the Tiger Moms, but I don't even think the Tiger Moms are that bad. If you're walking home with predominantly A's, it's not like he said he only got one A. I think if you walk home predominantly A's, I don't see why your parents would behave that way. My man left school basically early, 18, was able to get in. It blows my mind that he's not celebrated more. And he's gonna, as early as 20, he's got a whole large margin ahead of him, and yet he still believes he's not worthy. Now, hopefully, Dr. K has sorted all this out for him. Hopefully, he has. I don't think the conversation is gonna get more than that, because there's generally not a resolution when it comes to Dr. K's show. But, and I look at people who are early at that, right? Because I speak to people who have been all over the margin when it comes to age. I spoke to people as early as freaking 21, you know, all the way to older than I am, and they were freaking like 67. I'm just like, Jesus Christ, like, you're still trying to figure your shit out at 67. The truth is, yeah. I even think about people who have been in the game, or rather, we get to see who's in the game, who's still trying to figure out their life, right? If I had to think about like content creators, or rather just people that we know in media, let me just put it that way. If I had to think about people who were in the game, people who are successful, Mark Cuban is someone who turns around and say that he was trying and failing for a long time before he finally was able to make it. And people just normally think that when you make it for the first time, all of a sudden you're an overnight success. When a man has been failing for who knows how long. I think it's crazy, but that is the way how people tend to think. You know, that is typically how people tend to think about people who actually made it. A person who I think of social media wise who started doing well, and there's a few creators that actually do well on social media. But when I think of people who do things late in the game, for those who know who Gary Vaynerchuk is or Gary V, he does a lot of motivational stuff and whatever. But he's a person who basically, he might be in his mid to late 40s right now. But he's a person that he started his own media company, and he's doing phenomenal now. I'm not gonna talk about everything else surrounding him because that something totally crazy that just happened later on. Um, but I think of people who started late in the game, like Colonel Sanders, Harlan Sanders, David Harlan Sanders. He started the game late. He only started getting his millions until he was in his late 50s. You know, I think about Ray Kroc, started McDonald's. He did it really late in the game. And if you want to go to even social media, to the one of the most recent figures that we've seen that passed, you can even say Kevin Samuels. He didn't start making a shit ton of money and started being prominent until he was like what 60, 50, 51, 52, something like that. It's like there are people all over the board, like, and it's not about what they did, but what level of their success they were able to bring up, which brings to the point of even when I'm bringing up the whole entire premise of this whole of the content is that people tend to believe that if you don't make your particular success by a particular age, then it's all over for you. I've literally been in conversations where people say, if you haven't not only just figured out what you want to do, but also figure yourself as a man, which, if anybody knows, it's my trigger. I cannot stand sentences that begin or even end with the phrase as a man. It really irritates me. But the idea that you have people that will tell you that if you haven't figured out your life, if you haven't figured out who you are, if you haven't figured out what you want to do by 30, that it's over for you. The game is done. And I think that's absolutely crazy. There are, what I said is, there's hardships that they may be a little harder for you to get back into it, sure. But as long as there's breath in your body, you still got time. Like, I don't even understand those guys who could turn around and say that by 30, if you haven't figured your shit out, the game's over, when most men start making their money around their 40s. Makes no sense. But still, we want to believe that people are supposed to be making millions and such all in their 20s. When the truth of the matter is that most people haven't figured out themselves, never mind life, or figured out what they're really trying to do because they're just too busy just fucking getting into the real world because they just finally left their fucking university or left their parents' house to think that they would know what to do with themselves and with life and what. Come on now. Come on. There are plenty of people out there who in their 30s, their 40s, their 50s who are just now finally getting this shit together because now they finally had the time to get things in accordance. For those you don't know, Mel Robbins is a motivational speaker. I forgot how she got started in her game. I'm probably going to remember after the stream, to be honest with you. But she got in her game. She's a motivational speaker, and she's brought up a whole lot of people, and she makes a shit ton of money.
Don't you dare say the words too old. First of all, let me put this in perspective for you. You need new goals. When you've been at this for a while, the goals.
By the way, she started a business. I believe it was like it was a restaurant or catering business, and she was even leveraging debt against her business. Like it was crazy. The business was still going under, whatever, and she still managed to turn everything around. Like it. Some people get it lucky because they can start up and everything, and some people they just gonna go through harshness for whatever. But she managed to turn everything around. But the idea that people just believe that they don't have it or they can't get it because they're just too old, it's not a thing. It's really not a thing.
Goals that you had a decade ago are not the goals and the things that are going to motivate you right now. You need to write a new chapter, my friend. 11 or 12 years ago, the things that were important to me, the things that mattered, the stuff that I wanted to create 10 or 11 years ago, as a 40-year-old woman, that's not what I'm motivated by now that I'm 52. So give yourself the blessing and give yourself the incredible gift of taking time. Flip the page, man. Look at a blank page. Make new goals. Write a new chapter. Everything that you have experienced in your life is preparing you for this moment. And right now you have this extraordinary opportunity to look at the future with a whole new lens. So instead of beating yourself up for not achieving those goals, why don't you flip your attitude and say to yourself, maybe you weren't supposed to. Maybe those goals weren't the ones that are meant for you. What is it that you want in this moment of your life? What have you learned in the last 10 years in terms of doing this business? You're not too old. You're not too young. You're not too late. You're not too soon. You can reinvent and rebuild and rethink what you're going to do next any moment you choose. And today is the perfect day to do it. And in fact, I think the reason why that you're watching me right now is because you're supposed to. Hey, it's Mel. Thank you so much for being here. If you enjoyed that video, by God, please subscribe, because
I mean, and she's not wrong. I see this that pop up in my timeline from multiple other people who just pretty much started up, and they give like big stories as to how they came, how they went, how they fell. Actually, one of the people, like I mentioned Gary Vee. I think I got, yeah, I actually do have something from Gary Vee. Let's check this out real quick.
The fire I see in the eyes of a 19, 20, 25-year-old that feels that they're entitled to this, and then on the flip side, the diminishing just a little bit of ashes with a little smoke left of that same entrepreneur when they were 22 at 46, when practicality and family dynamics and the history and the market tearing down and the lack of that same opportunity has just dwindled down to a moment where they don't believe that they've got that shot. And I'm here to tell you, you absolutely do. I mean, there are absolutely a ton of entrepreneurs that started their companies in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s when it was difficult to do such a thing. Sidney Frank, who created Grey Goose, didn't invent his big thing until his 70s. And so I'm desperate to give you the springboard to say, you know what? Instead of watching House of Cards seasons, instead of trying to, go to ball games or things of that nature, yeah, I do have 7 p.m. till 2 in the morning, Monday through Friday. Heck, for a lot of you, the kids are out of the house. I mean, let's get into practicality for the late 40s, 50s, 60-year-olds that are watching this right now. The kids are out of the house. Like, yeah, you can pick up golf, or you could finally start that candle company because you put pretty pictures of candles on Instagram and it happens. Learn the craft. Figure out the opportunity at hand. Go attack it. You only live once. When you're 90 to 100 years old and you're regretting that you never built this business and you let this era pass, this moment where there's so much entrepreneurial upside, you'll regret it, and regret is the worst. I mean, that's what it is.
So the thing that I will agree with him on is the fact of the matter is that it's never really too late. You're never really too old to get started on something that you're really passionate about. And again, sometimes you find things out that you're passionate about, or right that you want to do that you know you could at just a later age. And again, I'll even say this much: it's maybe even something you're not necessarily passionate about, but it's something that you put a lot of time and skill into it because, quite frankly, it was your hobby. I'm not passionate about all my hobbies, but I'm pretty good at my hobbies. That's why they're, quote, my hobbies. But if I find myself really good at it and it's something that I wouldn't mind doing for the rest of my life, or something that will build up a particular income, why not do it? But there are people who they're afraid of the questions. Like, so part of the questions that I got when I left my last industry, right? And I really should say last my left industry because I didn't leave it. But when I left my last full-time employer before I started doing contracts, was people who would typically work with me, my coworkers, were trying to give me all of the questions that, quite frankly, people would ask themselves in the long run, but asking me in real time because the question was like, I must be crazy for leaving a company. You know, you're leaving. What are you gonna do? What else do you have set up? What about your 401k? What about your health insurance? All these things that, quite frankly, you never gave a shit about while I was working with you. Now, all of a sudden, you have all these goddamn questions when I'm walking out the door. Fuck you, you know. Um, what are we doing here? And it's questions that you need to ask yourself ahead of time, and ask yourself if it's worth it in the long run to get rid of it, if it means that you're going to be able to go all in on yourself. Part of the reason that we have, right, as individuals is that we're always looking for someone else to believe in us, to invest in us, but we don't take that time to invest in ourselves. So, what I mean by that, if you go to a store, right, you go to a store, and if the cashier, the clerk, whoever, the salesperson gave you a money back guarantee, 30 days, if you don't like the product, you can send it back, get a full refund. You'll be testing that product and testing everything, giving it through the rundown. And if it don't turn out the way you want it, you will run up to that person and be bitching and complaining. Oh, this ain't what you said it was. Oh, I need my 30-day money that back guarantee. But here's my question though. You have the money. You're the one who makes the investment, right? Why is it you don't treat yourself like you're the product? Why don't you ever invest that money into yourself? Why don't you give yourself that guarantee? Why don't you make sure that you don't have to return the very thing that you're trying to invest in back in 30 days? Not sitting there talking about, oh, you didn't do whatever. Most of the time, most of the time when I meet people, I get mad at them because I am more pumped about what they claim is their goals than they are. I can tell you firsthand experience that prior, when I had plenty of conversations with people, and there were people who know me, who still reach out to me from time to time, who knows that I could get very uh, uh, daydreaming on them. I can get very motivational when it comes to people. Most of all, I hate when people turn around. I hate because that was a strong word. I dislike it when people claim that they have particular dreams, aspirations, and goals, and they say they want to go somewhere, and I'm like, I might be able to help that person get somewhere there. I hate when I said they just hate again. I dislike when I put effort to put somebody in a particular position because they said it was something that they were looking forward to, and then when you say, "Hey, I worked on it. I know somebody that I can get you in that position," and they turn around and they're like, "Oh, I'm not ready." I'm highly irritated. I'm highly irritated when I have conversations with people and I become more invested in their future than they are. It really bothers me. It bothers me when I care more about what you claim is your dreams than you do. They're not my dreams, but if I'm in a position where I can help you get you there, that's what it is. And keep in mind, I'm not the easiest person to work with. I've ruffled plenty of feathers, but because I hold people accountable, because I'm hard on myself, I hard on other people. You know, we say treat other people as how you want to be treated. I'm very hard on myself. Because I'm hard on myself, I'm actually pretty hard on other people. I'm an asshole. I am a licensed asshole. And I've had to learn to back away from that. Not because I'm not still an asshole, but because I learned that it's better to work with people if they feel like they owe you rather than letting them understand that, quite frankly, you don't need them, you know? Which was a great lesson for me to learn through. I learned through mentors, and I learned through other people who was willing to critique me because I'm willing to listen to them. But if you're trying to be someone who's trying to get into your own lane, trying to understand yourself, you're gonna have to go up against adversity. And the thing that kills me are people who turn around and they stick to things that only make them feel comfortable, and then wonder why they didn't make it anywhere. You have been staying in the same position You have trained people who turn around and have to become your boss, and you say that they're not capable, but you're the one that also trained them. And keep in mind, they can make their own mistakes for sure. But you're most qualified, but you don't want to go anywhere because you think this is the best that you have. It's like people who are in jobs that they never grew out of because they feel like it's the best they have. It's like people who are in relationships who feel like this is the best they ever have. And to an extent, they're right. Until you decide to self develop, until you decide to invest in yourself, what you have right now is what you qualify for. Let me say that again for you. Everything you've been doing, all your bitching and complaining instead of you investing and taking your penance and paying your dues, and paying your dues to life. What you have right now going on for you is what you qualify for. If it's your partner, you qualify for them. And instead of bitching and complaining because, quite frankly, you picked them, by the way, how about you be gracious because you could be on your own? And if you say, well, I'd rather be on my own, do that. Do that thing. But no more bitching and complaining. You want to hold people accountable? Start with the person in the mirror. Start with yourself. And I've talked to so many people where I say, instead of you bitching about all these other things that are not going right for you, how about you fix yourself? You're not in a better position because, quite frankly, you keep thinking that you're supposed to be getting somewhere in the future when you keep being the same person. When I ask people to do this, and I'll ask you to do this, folks, you're probably not going to because it's probably going to seem weird to you or because I can't see you anyway. But I need you to do something for yourself, not for me. It doesn't help me. I've done this already. I would like you to close your eyes. Unless you're driving, don't close your fucking eyes. Close your eyes and envision the person that you would like to be in 10 years. You got that in your head now? You got the person that you would like to see in 10 years? How they live, how they walk, what their mindset might be like, who are the people that's around them, how is it with your family, how is it with your friends? Now I need you to do something else. I need you to think about who that person is 10 more years. How will that person look like from here, from 20 years from now? Are they satisfied with themselves? Are they satisfied with their life? Are they satisfied with the choices that they've made? Do they feel like they made enough sacrifices, and do they feel like they're content with the choices that they made? Really think about that. If you have children, if you have brothers and sisters, think about where they are in that 20-year lifespan that's in the future. Now, seriously look at yourself, open your eyes, and think about who you are today. In this stream with me today. The person who is there now, is that really the person that you are right now? If you imagine yourself surrounded by family, surrounded by loved ones, or you're doing well in your life or whatever, most likely not. Because that person had to make a lot of calculated steps, a lot of intentional steps to get there. So I need you to ask yourself a serious question. What steps do you need to be to become that person in the future? Because who you are to be, you are now becoming. In case you didn't hear me because he felt like I was muffled because you were too busy eating flaming hot Cheetos. Who you are to be, you are now becoming. And I need you to think about what that person had to endure. What do you have to endure to become that person for the future? And if you can't envision who that person was, it's probably because you died. Hey, listen, sometimes we gotta do doom and gloom. If you can't imagine that person, you just saw nothing but blackness, is because you died. Hey, I'm telling you the truth. If you say, Resla, I got nothing. You died. That's why. You were dead. I hate to put it that way. You did not see yourself in the future because you thought you were already going to be dead. I'm just going to put it out there that way. If you don't like the outcome, then you need to imagine yourself being alive. That's it. Because if you got nothing, you imagine yourself dead. I'm just saying. Zoomer said, fact. I'm just telling you the truth. That's all I can tell you. If you saw darkness, you were already in your coffin or already cremated or whatever. There's nothing for you. So I need you to think about now a new thing. What can you do today to make sure that you don't see darkness in the future? Because apparently what you're doing today isn't helping you. So what steps can you make today to make sure that you can see light in the future? So that you can do this thought experiment with yourself and see yourself in the future. Guys, you know what time it is, right? I'm going to end this early. I'm going to give you back your time. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the particular episode today. Or again, it wasn't the original episode that was planned. But it is the time that I'm going to give you. I did have a more serious episode that I had a feeling maybe not a lot of people are going to show up. And I was kind of right. Not a lot of people are going to show up. A lot of people don't like to show up to streams where pretty much it gets very heavy-hearted. But it actually ties into what I was actually going to talk about, which we always get into the whole aspect of the things that our people are indoctrinated by, how we process things in our brain as to why we believe the way we do, and how we even look at things that we're looking at when it comes to social media, or how we view people that we look at, how we are, quite frankly, fooled, and how we love to be fooled, how we love to be sidetracked, and how we love to be distracted. I'm thinking about whether maybe this will be a next week stream. I haven't really thought about it. I think I might just do a once over on all the script and all the materials that I wrote to make sure that it's really something I like, because I thought it was very informational heavy and it wasn't necessarily something that I thought would be too engaging for you, because it would really require you to focus. And too many people are too busy wanting to be entertained in order to be focused. And I get it. Because you're entertained, you're intentional. And let's be honest, information and facts are boring. So I'm going to try to figure out a way to make it very entertaining for you guys so that the message hits home, it sticks, and of course, it makes you do a little bit of critical thinking. Guys, I'm going to give you back your time. Thank you for pretty much showing up. We're going to end it with the call of action. So pretty much, if you haven't already, please like the stream, It's so early, but still I wouldn't mind showing up on a couple of people's actual algorithms if it's actual possible. If you haven't subscribed yet, be sure to actually do so, and be sure to actually hit that notification bell to all, because YouTube gets a little finicky. It plays around. It plays around with the bell, so maybe you get it, maybe you won't get the actual notification. I am on other mediums. I have been a little bit dormant. Forgive me. I've been working a whole lot of the content. I had a lot of stuff that I'm planning up for next month. I'm not gonna say what it is, but I do got some things planning up for next month. We're slowly enhancing the program, so be sure to actually take a look at what I got going on when it comes to especially Instagram. And I would say being able to reach out to me on reslaopinionated@gmail.com. Same thing for my Instagram is reslaopinionated. If you wish to reach out to me, if you have anything that you want to send me yourself, or if you have any particular ideas and topics, you can reach out to me through email. Outside of that, it's the thing that I say, no one necessarily has to. We're still early in the game, but I do hold on to every penny that everybody sends me on. So if you want to send something in order to donate to the program, it is at Cash App at I'm about to say hashtag $ Resla Opinionated, and of course on PayPal, because some of you guys don't like freaking Cash App, which is fine. But for PayPal, because I buy things on PayPal as well, you can get it at Resla too. I appreciate everything you guys have done. Hopefully I will see you in the next one. In case you didn't know, I know I'm making this very long-winded because it's been a while, and again, my drinks are actually kicking in. Let's put the banner up there. So once again, Wednesdays, 4 p.m. Eastern. In case you didn't know, you know now. I am here in New York City. And we also do this as well on Saturday, where it's a bit of a review on everything that's been catching up with my algorithm, not necessarily so tailored to a program. Wednesday's more of my serious show. Saturday's more of my catch-up chill stream. We'll see what's going on for the panel. I do have some things that I'm working on for the future, where I'll have more things segmented. And I think the people I'm going to reach out to, I'll be reaching to soonly to start talking about if they wish to be a part of those conversations or not. Outside of that, guys, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay opinionated.